All right, guys, welcome. An honorable defeat and a blatant ref blunder. The team could be much better, but at least today there was intensity, and Madrid had a really good first 30 minutes until City scored to make it 1-1. So much so that it shouldn't have gone on the scoreboard, and I didn't think it should at the time. But then I saw the footage, and besides, I was actually watching to see if they were grabbing Rudiger or not, or whoever they were grabbing. That's Courtois. They grabbed Courtois. And today, it was all about grabbing. He didn't see the crazy tween meons to a special light. Ones against Madrid. Did you see them? The ones Madrid did, right? Or the one Madrid did? No. And man, it's just really hard to beat a team like City that way. But if we stick to just football, I'll say, well, that's good. Then there's City, which is a team with far less urgency than Madrid in the qualifiers. Well, they're up against Madrid, not in the top 8, and I think we're tied. I don't remember right now. I'll check. But of course, Madrid wasn't just playing for a spot in the Champions League. They had a lot on the line after that slip up the other day in LaLiga. And the thing is, City, for example, in the league, they're not even leaders, right? And we could compare the two situations. But of course, the feeling wasn't the same before coming into this game. So, City played with incredible calm, without that urgency, without Madrid's rush. That's what cost us. I think, well, the rush is what doomed us. The ref did his part. The other day, when we lost to Celta, remember, I didn't start off blaming the ref. Not at all, right? And that even though he went hard against Madrid, I ranked it excuse number 15, but today it's in the top 3 because you'll see what I mean, right? Two absolutely crucial and decisive plays, and in both, going against us. I was going to say favoring the home team, favoring the away team, favoring the opponent, because there's something you just can't get out of your head. And now we'll show the footage and all that. So if after calling the penalty on Haaland, they confirm it's a penalty, Rudiger grabs him, loses the mark. Haaland beats him to the spot. He grabs him. Hey, that's a penalty, man. You just have to accept it. But what Asensio then does to Gvardiol, I've already heard amateur Lahaz talk about it a bit. The referee's explanation is that it's not that the ball wasn't going to get there. Damn, I mean, that grab is outrageous. The ball's going right into the box. So what? Does it have to get all the way here for them to call a penalty? Then, when Gvardiol goes down, he's still holding on to him. Then he throws a boy. Slap at him. I don't know if he hits him or not, but that play is super blatant. And if this happens the other way around at the Metropolitano, I'm convinced that if the one getting ahead of his marker isn't Haaland, but Rodriguez, it's Bellingham against Gvardiol. And on the very next play, they do this to Ruben Dias. He does that to you? Well, I'm telling you, then Asensio himself or whoever the ref is, to make up for it, calls a penalty. But come on, you, me, and everyone here knows it. Ricky Martinez, almost Ricky Martin, right? Thanks a lot, man. Thanks a lot. I don't know what you're talking about here, but hang on. Are you saying he was afraid to take Vini off for Endrick before the 60th minute? Yeah, but there's one thing. Let's talk about everything, okay? Guys, let's talk about everything, and let's talk about Xavi's fear of not taking Vini off, of not taking Bellingham off, not taking these guys out, take Gonzalo out, and Gonzalo runs off. The man calmly knows he's not going to have any problem at all when there's that lack of consistency again. If you're already sending crosses into the box for your forwards to finish off and all that, you tell me anti-Delvit says no. Today the ref says no. Well, for me, it's yes. No, not everything. So more worse than City, huh? And Madrid is not exactly a well-rounded team, not by a long shot, although today they had the desire. And in terms of creating plays up to the final meters, that's when we've messed up. Although we could have been clearer there, for sure. And we could be doing much better. But Madrid didn't deserve to lose. Madrid really didn't deserve to lose today. And if Madrid didn't deserve to lose today, Santi, thanks a lot, man, for following along and everything. But if Madrid didn't deserve to lose and there were decisions from the ref, it's that they changed the game on you. Damn, at least if it hadn't been for the ref's performance, we could have gotten a draw. Sounds to me like what you're saying about Vini. Well, it's what I'm telling you, about Xavi's consistency when it comes to having the forwards you need for what the game calls for at that moment. If in the last few minutes you're sending crosses into the box, it doesn't really make much sense to take out your best header there, not the one who pins the center backs, the one who's battling it out with them in the box. It's true that later Enrique hit a really good one off the crossbar. Even though Enrique's short and all, he's created some good chances too. Then Endrick had an incomprehensible. I'm not about to blame Andrea for anything here. Of course not. I mean, anyway, Enrique, the town wasn't to blame for anything, right? But do you remember that one where he's got Brahim right next to him and doesn't pass it to him? And he goes for an impossible pass, a little chip over to Vini, who was already being marked. I think it was Vini or Rodrigo. I think it was Vini, man. It didn't make much sense, but everyone got mixed up. I mean, it was in the last few meters. Everyone got mixed up. The only one who got it right for me was why? I think you'll agree with me, unless someone out there hates him. From me? Rodrigo was the best player in the match, says Felix here. Thanks a lot, Felix, for always following along. You're always there, as always. Alejandro Noguera, who's asking for likes. And look, there's over 1,000 of us, and I'm asking you guys for likes because it really helps the channel. And subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. All right. What I was saying is that everyone made the wrong choice, except Rodrigo on the play for Madrid's only goal. He crossed it really well. Everyone else made terrible choices. I know a lot of you have it in for Rodrigo. It pisses me off too that Rodrigo suddenly has a good game today. But let me tell you something. It's not just about the match. Well, with Rodrigo, it's not just about the effort. I'm with Rodrigo. It's the drive of the whole team. I mean, it's enough to make you want to kill them. Sorry. They've got some nerve. I mean, the other day, no. Today, yes. Well, look, the other day, no. But today, yes. And since today, yes. And the other day, when they send off a player and you're already behind on the scoreboard, that's when you suddenly start running and pressing. It's the same thing with what happened today. You don't get pissed off about the other day. And today, you've got to go all out, not just because of the urgency in the standings to be up in the top spots. I think we're going to keep winning games. I think we're going to win them. Well, let's see how Madrid is doing in January. And let's see what the standings look like right now. I haven't seen the other results. We'll check in a moment. But yeah, today Madrid was really anxious about the situation. So yeah, what's the effect? Choosing which games you play hard and which ones you don't. Being unprofessional because you think, Celta? I mean, that Celta has been boring at home lately. Well, you see where these guys are in the standings, who they are or who they're not. They humiliate you with a Swede who scores 2 Pelé-style goals, both worthy of the Puskas. And of course, because you underestimate your opponent, then you start feeling that rush, that bad vibe, that sense of a team stuck in a bad run. And then City comes along and City beats you. I'm not going to say they did it calmly because they didn't win calmly, but they showed a lot more composure, patience, restraint, and calm. Where you've shown it was here, and in every play you went here, not there. Miguel Lomim, he's unbelievable. Can't get past anyone, sends in a decent cross. He's a player with 0 IQ, says Carlos. Well, and he started off really well, drawing a foul that was almost a penalty. There were about 15 minutes, about 10 minutes from Madrid that were just insane when I was saying Jose Fernandez, and I'm boring you. Well, then leave, guys. I'm not here. I'm not aiming at anyone. If I'm boring you, just leave, man. Anyway, thanks for stopping by because you always add something. Hey, thanks a lot here to Madrid 1210, who played the 10 Ufare. You don't want to make 30 million for this? I see a lot going on with Trevini, right? Yeah, honestly. Vini hasn't been good, and Belling hasn't been good either. But above all, what I'd say is that it's not just about the decisions in the final third, but pretty much everyone. He had a pass from Vini to Rodrigo that was going to Rodrigo. He only had one pass. It went to Rodrigo, which was something. A clear pass. That's where they messed up. It's not just Vini. Pretty much everyone has messed up those final passes. In those, Vini says he's not doing well. 13 games without scoring. You're absolutely right. Angel, you're absolutely right. Martin Ruiz says, well, it's like a cancer that's spreading. Martin, man, you're hardcore. You've got good comments. I mean, at least witty ones. Felix says here that he always chimes in, and I appreciate it, man. Look, Miguel, when City closed up, nobody moved. The thing is, when they give us space to run, it's true. But damn, we saw more than the other day, guys. I mean, I want to see some signs of life here. So, for example, let's get to the question. Let's get to the big one. Today is not a day to fire Xavi, right? Right? I don't think today's the day to say Xavi's out. I mean, if today we'd made a total mess of it, I would have walked out. And I'll tell you something else. If today Xavier was afraid of screwing up in the last few minutes, he wouldn't have made the changes he did. You know, there are plenty of things to criticize, but he's not putting Enric in for Asensio. I mean, I would have said, damn, at 1-2, oh man, that's something I did, right? And yet he wanted to go for it. He wanted to go all out, right? The thing is, the team is sick. The team's got a cold. The team's one hell of a dandy. A ridiculously handsome guy, but right now he's, in pajamas with a robe and a box of Kleenex. Got a cold, so we're giving off a really bad impression. But come on, it's Brad Pitt with a cold. The thing is, Brad Pitt with a cold, unwashed hair and cold sores on his lips. I mean, that's us. We're in bad shape. We're in bad shape, but only because we chose to be, because we didn't take care of ourselves. No, I think it's because we just don't take care of ourselves, man. Drawing a parallel with what I was saying about picking which games to play. Some yes and some no. Well, before we hear from Xavi, shall we take a look?
I was talking about the games,
I'm putting it here. I'm talking about, well, the main reason we've lost our urgency is that the team isn't pushing as hard. I insist there was no reason, given your opponent, in the sense that City, it was a similar situation in the league, similar situation in the Champions. But of course, City wasn't coming from where we were coming from. If you face a team like that, you play them reasonably. Well, like we did today, with a lot of mistakes. A lot of mistakes. But damn, the game plan wasn't bad either. Man, we're coming from a really bad place.
I want to stay positive here.
You play them like this, and then, yeah, well, do you mess up because you're rushing and anxious? Well, that's the main reason. The second or the third? For me, it's the referee. Let me explain. We've seen this. Hold on just a sec. I'll look it up in the goal. Let's see. Which bar file? Which bar file? Bar file. I had a run-in with them not long ago, even though I get along fine with Akko Talato, but, well, Nacho Talato, he works with them and all, but he's not from Archivo VAR. Anyway, one day I had a run-in with them, but I hadn't noticed that here. I was focused on Rudiger. I said, hey, they're grabbing Rudiger enough for it to matter. Rudiger goes down. Didn't look like it to me. But now, look at Courtois. Is Bernardo Silva grabbing the keeper by the arm? Dude, he's grabbing his arm. What the hell is this? But how do you grab the keeper by the arm? For me, this is a foul. And they agree here too. I don't know. No. I haven't looked any further over there. This is enough for me, right? This is enough for me to understand it's a foul. You think that's a foul? Come on, what are you talking about? Miguel says here. Well, anyway, come on. Explain it to me. What's Bernardo Silva doing here to Courtois? Can a striker do that to the keeper? Inside the box. I'm not even going to get into the 6-yard box thing. You can't touch the keeper because that's not in any rule. All right, it's an unwritten rule and all, but damn, here Bernardo Silva is basically blocking Courtois from coming out. Maybe Courtois wouldn't have come out. Maybe he wouldn't have come out. But to me, this seems decisive. The penalty on Rudiger by Haaland is a penalty. That's a penalty. I'm going to look it up. Let me look for a sec. The other. One from Asensio, who's driving me crazy because I keep saying Asensio. Look, here on Tiempo de Juego, they're saying he was grabbed by the arm in the play for City's first goal. You're not looking at the screen right now, huh? Because I'm looking for the Asensio play. This is Asensio's. A guy going in to finish in the box. And another guy who keeps at it, even when he's on the ground, still holding on, man. And why can't we watch the play in motion? But you remember it, right? He's not holding him at first, and then he ends up holding him even when he's on the ground. Come on. So, By that logic, if earlier you called the one with Jana and Rodriguez, for those who missed it, a penalty, says Juan. And for those of you just joining us, there are 1,400 of us. I really appreciate it, guys. For those of you just joining now who haven't heard me before, I try to pay attention to the referee's reasoning, even though they are what they are. Okay, I listen to experts on TV, on the radio, and so on. And they said, well, okay, here's what's going on with this. Why didn't he call a penalty here in the other one? Yeah, it's because in the other one, does the player have to beat his opponent? And the ball is going toward that area, going toward those two, right? And in the case of this other play, he said, it's not that the ball isn't going to that area. It's not going to those two, but it is going to that area, man. I mean, everyone's there to finish in the box. And maybe Asensio doesn't have him. He didn't have position on Gvardiol. I think that's it. It doesn't matter when the grab, when the holding is that obvious. Another thing is, if they're both grabbing each other, like putting an arm a bit around the waist and so on, like they actually do to Rudiger, like Ruben Diaz does to Rudiger. Let's listen to Rodrigo's statements. Just a moment.
Because the first half went really well. In the first few minutes, we had that idea of starting strong, and we pulled it off.
Then we scored a goal, and, well, in the end, it just wasn't possible. We need to improve.
How much damage does conceding a goal from a set piece do? A detail, a mistake that happens a lot. I say that mainly because that was a turning point in the match.
Yeah, well, we know these matches. They're always decided by the little details. Not like on a set piece or something like that. Well, that's what happened today. And that's why it frustrates us. Because we train a lot for these things, and then it happens in a match.
Well, we're really sad, but we have to keep going. There's no other choice.
I mean, in the end, it was a textbook goal. But how much did you need to score again after such a long time?
Yeah, I really needed that. Honestly, I always try to score, always try to help.
Honestly, no, I wasn't at my best. But that's just how things go in soccer. I have to stay focused, keep training. That's what I've been doing all this time, even knowing things weren't going my way. And today I hope that with this goal and a good performance, even though I'm sad about the loss, I can get back to my best and help my team.
What I wanted to say first, the gesture was clear. Pointing to the badge and then hugging Xabi Alonso. What did that hug with the coach mean?
Well, it's a tough moment for us and for him too. Things aren't going well for us, and I wanted to show that. That was for the people who are standing together with our coach. I know he always says a lot of things. I often try to create a lot of things, and I just wanted to say that we were united. We need this unity to keep moving forward and achieve our goals.
Last one, because in some phases of the match, there were whistles from the Bernabeu crowd. Do you understand why?
Yeah, of course, that's normal. We know that Madrid is an AXA. Very, very demanding club. The fans are very demanding, and we've been here for many years now. We know that happens if we're not doing well. And well, it's fair. We have to accept it, try to improve, and try to get out of this situation. Thanks, Rodrigo.
Have we seen, like Rodrigo says, that image of a united team?
Good team. What can I say? I think Rodrigo's statements are spot on. You can't fault Rodrigo for today. It's fair to criticize the other 350 plus days before. No, it's a horrible thing. Well, that goal I scored against Atleti was in February or March, not in the Champions League, but in La Liga, I hadn't scored since January. But today, he was the best. Today, Rodrigo was the best. Someone told me. Someone told me earlier, Miguel Pipero criticizes Xavi. Miguel already criticizes Xavi. I've seen it in several videos. Well, look. Oh, look, Jose is saying this? Thanks, Jose. There are people who watch the videos. Damn, I was going to say the same thing, but I've already called him out several times. I told Xavi he's not showing the personality he should be showing. I said about Xavi that some things just don't make sense. I just said it in this live stream. Also, some decisions like taking Gonzalo off only to end up sending crosses into the box. There are things about Xavi, like not taking a Vini out anymore, not daring to take Judling out anymore, and, well, there are things I think he's doing wrong. But I think he's getting it wrong because he's managing it badly, right? Because with Xavi's idea and his work, we're going to weigh it all up. Xavi still wins me over. And I still want Xavi to stay at Madrid. Why? Because I see a guy who came here to work with his players with a clear plan and a modern playbook, which is exactly what I want for my Madrid. Because on top of that, I look at the alternative, and it's either some random guy or nobody at all. I don't think he's up for it. So who do you sign now? So whose hands are you putting the team in now? I mean, that's why between you leaving and Xavi staying, for me, it still pulls more weight. What tips the scales more for me is the fact that Xavi is staying. But no, that's not why I'm going. I'm going to stop criticizing him because, well, like I told you, I already criticize him in these kinds of situations. No, like Guardiola would say, he's not doing his own thing. I mean, he's not being himself. Courtois is on TV. All right, let's listen to Courtois for a moment. There he is.
Not disappointed. In the end, I think we played a good match. I think we deserved more, but oh well. We're in a bit of a bad run. Things just aren't going our way. That first goal earlier was kind of my fault, then a penalty, and then we couldn't equalize. We missed chances, and maybe at other times we would have scored. It's kind of the run we're in, unfortunately.
Is he in a really tough situation?
No. I haven't seen him yet after the game, but I think we've shown that we're all behind him. In the end, we gave 100%. My feeling out on the field is that we gave a good impression. In the end, it just wasn't meant to be, but we gave it our all. We played a good game. There was a good plan. In the end, things went our way, but yeah, I think we left a good impression.
And you'll have to accept that the fans booed at the end of the match, and at certain points when they saw you weren't really making those bursts forward, like on other magical nights here.
They have that right. That's why they come to the stadium and can show you they're not happy. I think there was a stretch where City was sitting really deep, and in that moment, well, you want to pass it around a bit instead of just hitting a long ball. But anyway, in the end, the fans, if they want to share their opinion and boo, it's on us to keep playing our game and keep improving and winning our games.
Now Vitoria, now against Deportivo Alaves. Time to bounce back.
Yeah, that's how you change the momentum, by winning on a tough field. But I think if we play with the same intensity as today, or like we did against Athletic Club, that's how we're going to win our games. And I think today was like that too. We had a good attitude, good intensity, and that's the way to go. And hopefully, well, that the goals keep coming, that we keep a clean sheet, and that's how you win.
How did you see that foul? There was a foul by Ruby. It was clear. The ref had to go check it.
But he hasn't seen it yet. The only thing is, Rodriguez said that, he grabbed him a little, but it wasn't that bad. And in the end, number 11 also came in with a shove. So for me, that's the mistake.
So either you call both or you don't call it at all.
Courtois saw it well on the field.
Damn. Anyway, I haven't seen it all. In the end, no, I can't say if it was a penalty or not.
But I think there were two pretty similar plays. The ref told me at halftime that on a corner, there's a lot of grabbing, so he doesn't call it. So, in the end, it is what it is, his decision, but that's not where we lost the game.
Maybe one. Taking away both is one of the hidden generative answers in this last one, right?
Look, I honestly just don't understand some things, But I'm going to share the other results with you guys here. There are things I just don't understand. Like, if they grab you, Courtois, if they grab you by the arm, right? Sure. That way we're just giving these guys reason. All those who are going to say, see, he's not getting any more chances. Anyway, I just don't get any of this. But hey, you're asking me if Rodrigo has finally beaten Mariano's record of going 50 games without scoring. Besides, I think it's obvious he's not going to beat it, right? Courtois took the blame for the goal, huh? I mean, he said, today was my mistake and all, which is good because he usually blames others when they mess up. Well, he's saying it, right? Let's see. Villarreal 2, Copenhagen 3. Well, I was going to tell you something. Maybe we beat Alaves and then the Miami game that's now going to be played in Villarreal, maybe, just maybe, Villarreal beats Barca or something. But check out the total embarrassment. What is Villarreal doing in Europe? That's pretty crazy, huh? Villarreal 2, Copenhagen 3, Karabag 2, Ajax 4, or 1,200. Paris Saint-Germain tied it up at San Mamés. Borussia Dortmund drew at home 2-2 with Mönchengladbach. Oh my. 3 from Arsenal against Bruges, 2-2. Newcastle and Leverkusen, in this order. Leverkusen, Newcastle. Benfica, Mourinho's Benfica, beat Napoli 2-0. And Juve beat Paphos 2-0 as expected. Well, Okay, hold on. Champions. Standings. So here's the standings right now with all the matches played, right? We're all on the same points, right? Is that cool or what? Well, we're in the top 8, but Atleti and Liverpool have caught up to us. And Liverpool, I mean, we got caught by a team that's in 9th place, right? I mean, Liverpool, who's in 9th place? There you go. They're climbing. Sorry. Come on.
Rival, but today, I don't think they did everything to win the match. I think we maybe deserved a bit more. But hey, that's football. Whoever scores more goals wins. In this case, it's Manchester City. So we've got to improve.
Because there was a lot of talk about this being a test for Xabi Alonso. But they were also saying it was a test for you guys about commitment and especially intensity. And intensity we definitely saw in the first half.
Well, in the end, I think every game we're being tested, but that's life at Real Madrid. We know the pressure we're under in every game, whether things go well or badly. The only thing I can say is that the locker room understands the message Xabi Alonso is sending. The locker room is behind Xabi Alonso 100%. Day-to-day life in Valdebebas is really, really good. But yeah, it's true that we might be going through a bit of a different or unusual situation, not something you usually see in Real Madrid seasons. The only thing we players are going to do is change our attitude, which I think in the end is the most important part, or really what everyone wants to see, a change. The other day too. I think our teammate Aurelien mentioned it in the press conference before the game. That attitude is the main thing to change. Well, I think today we saw a change.
Look, tell me a bit about the play where you claimed you were grabbed. I'm not exactly sure who it was. I think it was Gvardiol, right after we just had a penalty for a grab by Rudiger in the box.
Well, honestly, I haven't seen the plays replayed, but I felt a grab inside the box. Obviously, from the pole's momentum, I went down. We were coming off 2 situations. Well, on their goal from the corner, I think it was Antonio Rudiger. He wasn't able to jump because of the shove he took. Then the penalty. It's the same situation, and in that case, they did call it. Those are referee calls. We can't focus on that. We need to focus on football. In the end, these are things that don't depend on us. They depend on the referee. Sometimes it'll go the opponent's way. Other times it'll go our way. We just need to focus on our own game and nothing else. Good luck. Thanks a lot.
Regarding the criteria and certain decisions we've discussed.
Well, hey, speak clearly, Asensio. He left us with these 2 headlines. We're already with Xavi, and in the locker room, they're with Xabi Alonso. He said it like that. He said it with the coach. He said with Xabi Alonso, and we need to change. Like Aurelien already said, we need to change our attitude. Damn. I mean, honestly, maybe they themselves don't. No. Sorry. Maybe not everyone will reach the same conclusion, but maybe, I don't know, Vini might tell you the attitude's fine. I don't know, right? I don't know, I'm saying Vini, but I could just as well say someone else. No, I don't know, but hey, 2 guys who are giving it their all in every game, because I see a good attitude in both players with grit and all. Like Asensio and like I think Tchouaméni is showing. They're talking about the topic of about the attitude. Well, like I was saying before, we're in the top 8. If we win the 2 games we've got, Monaco at home and Mourinho's Benfica away, we're in the top 8, guys. We've lost 2 games here against Liverpool and against Manchester City. Man, those English teams. Plus, the game will be pretty even to beat them, you know, since we're at the Bernabeu and all. Anyway, coming into this, like we already said at the start of this video, in this live stream, we were coming in really, really influenced. But we've got the same points, just like Liverpool has the same points as us, and their 9th and would be out. We have the same points as Inter. We're just 1 point behind Atalanta. Look, Atalanta has slipped in there, just 1 point away. Same with Manchester City, and 1 point from Paris Saint-Germain. So that means we're just 1 point away from 3rd place, you know? So the Champions League standings aren't a big deal. The refs aren't paying for it. We're ahead. Qualifying for the Champions League isn't a big deal. I mean, it was a game we definitely didn't want to lose, given where we were coming from and all that, but it's not a big deal. So despite this Leo guy who I see keeps messaging me nonstop that I'm a Pipero, that whatever, that Xavi out, that stuff. Even so, I don't think I'll put it in the comments. Guys, tell me if you think today would be a day to fire Xavi. I think if there's a day for talks, this would be it. Definitely not today, says here. Thanks a lot to Delay and 19. Holland subbed off in the 70th. Nothing happened. Our TikTokers, the full 90 minutes. Vinny and Billy Racho. Where's Franco? Yeah, Franco really did a number on me. He hasn't played again. Man, with a groin injury in the mix. Hey, but no, he hasn't played again. All right, we're still waiting for Xabi Alonso at the press conference. Let's see what he has to say. Let's see if he's a bit more expressive and doesn't just stick to cliches. It's not clear. It's not the kind of match to loosen up, obviously, because Madrid lost. But anyway, well, look, yeah, in the 70th minute, Haaland goes off and it's totally normal. Well, one more thing. Your opinion on Jude R games. Bad. Today was bad, for sure. But I saw Bellingham being combative. I saw him fighting. And you're saying here that Bemba PS disappears. But I'm telling you, Mbappe doesn't disappear. And today, Mbappe was right there. And if he can't play, it's because he really couldn't play. If not, no, I don't think he's avoiding it. It says here, Holland Madrid, says Miguel, with all due respect. You're at the same level as Real Madrid over the last 2 seasons. Pathetic game. And blaming the ref. What a joke. We'll talk about the Barca whining later. Well, that's your opinion. I think the ref today was fair in a game as evenly matched as this, even though Madrid came in anxious and all. But in a game, like when you're down by 1 and you can still tie it in the last few minutes. If you get tough calls, I think the ref can be decisive. If you end up losing 1-4, whatever, I don't know, you have some call or something, and Madrid is doing terribly. Well, so then, what do you want me to say? I'm not blaming the ref, but there's been some blatant officiating misconduct here. Well, that's how it seems to me. I don't know. I know you're really angry with the team. You're really angry with the coach. But I think the ref had a hand in it here, just like the other day against Celta. I said no then. I said no. I said I'd be in the list of reasons was even outside the list. The list of reasons why we lost, right? Possible lack of culture. Yeah, earlier. Sure, I said it before.
I was gonna point out another draw.
Miguel, do we believe these slackers? The ones who hang around with the Piano Man coach, right? I mean, sure, believe these guys now, but how do you believe them now?
So you're always gonna be like this.
You're going to go into games the way you did today, because if Madrid goes into games like that, I think Madrid's going to win in Spain. In La Liga, 97% of the games. And in Europe, well, the thing is, in Europe, there are teams better than us. But in Spain, come on, don't mess with me. And of course, the problem is that against Alaves, maybe they just won't feel like it. Or maybe they will, because we're coming off this trying to save face a bit. But then imagine we play a good game against Alaves and beat them convincingly. Then against Sevilla, well, they won't feel like it again. And we'll get lazy about it again. No, like Sevilla at home. Sevilla is that team that used to be up there, but now they're doing badly, right? Damn, at home. Damn, what a drag. December 20th. Cold. Well, whatever. A lot of you are saying that Madrid is too much for Xavi and all that. Well, just saying. We'll see later on. I keep saying this is totally recoverable, but if there was ever a game to fire Xavi, this was it. I mean, if today had been a total disaster, like a disaster, maybe I wouldn't fire him because I think the blame lies more with the players than with the coach. But I'd have to accept it and say, hey, there's just nothing else you can do. But since today wasn't a disaster, quite the opposite. It's a team that wanted to win, that really tried. Winning the game when they managed to tie, it would have been asking too much, but at least they were able to tie it. Well, I don't see it that way. There's Xavi, all right? Let's listen to him.
Please remember, we ask one question per turn, and before speaking, state your name and the outlet you represent.
Please remember, one question per turn, and introduce yourself with your name and your outlet.
Good evening, Xavi. Jorge Luis Sanchez, live for El Chiringuito.
I don't know what feeling you're leaving with, because today's image has nothing to do with the one from the loss to Celta.
Courtois has spoken, Asensio has spoken, Rodrigo has spoken.
We're here with the coach.
Do you feel that support after what you saw today from your players?
Yeah, like he said, no. It was a very, very hard-fought game. It had different moments, right? And it was. We started off really well with Rodri's goal. And with a couple more chances, doing exactly what we wanted. And when you're going through a time when you're not in your best headspace, when you know that, where are we at? Well, they got us in 10 minutes. They pulled ahead with very little off the corner and with the penalty, but the team kept trying. They never lost focus on the game for a single moment in the second half, right up until the end. We've tried with all the difficulties we were, dealing with the issue of, well, the injuries, players who are giving it their all right up to their very last breath. And that's why, well, today I have nothing to reproach. I really appreciate the attitude day to day with the players. And we have to keep going. This is the Champions League. Obviously, we wanted the momentum from the results in November and December. Well, it's not the good run we want. We're critical. We push ourselves. We understand the fans, but we have to keep working and we have to keep believing it will happen because everything passes and I'm convinced we can do it.
Hi, Xavi. This is Arantxa Rodriguez from Cadena Cope. Today, you said or mentioned that you liked the team. The team gave it their all despite the injuries, just like you said. I don't know if you feel the team performs better when it faces this kind of match. In terms of intensity, in terms of attitude, in a Champions League match against Manchester City. But it's missing something. For example, like the game the other day against Celta, or the one coming up on Sunday. Alaves. How can you change that situation?
Yes. It's definitely a goal to be more consistent in our performance, to be able to, and it's regardless of the opponent we face or the competition we're in, it's up to us. So what can we do? Today, it's not a Champions League match against a really good opponent. I think, well, it went their way, but we did enough to deserve a draw. Even, well, anything could have happened. Today, the team stayed focused. Did they have rhythm in the first 30 minutes? Well, we saw very little. We scored Rodri's goal, and he had a really, really good game. We had a couple of other chances, and right up to the end, that's all you can really ask from the team. Keep trying, don't give up. The players gave it their all. And now, well, let's look ahead with what we've got.
Xavi, this is Adrian from El Desmarque. Yesterday, in this press room, we asked Guardiola for a message of support, drawing on his experience to see how this situation could be turned around. He said, you should stick to your guns, which is basically like staying true to your ideas till the end. I wanted to ask you if you're staying true to your ideas.
I have a very good one. I have a good relationship with Pep. We know each other well, and he knows exactly what he meant there. And I don't need to get into judging them.
Hi, Xavi. Good to see you. Antonian live from Cadena SER Sports War. He says the team gave it their all, but the Bernabeu at the end of the match booed them. How do you interpret that?
Well, it's normal. Nothing new that hasn't happened here before. When you don't win at home, it can happen. But there have been other times when they've supported us. And we felt that energy the fans knew the team needed. They pushed us. And then, well, in certain phases or at the end of the game when they whistle, we can understand that. In fact, well, that's something we have to accept as normal because here the demands are absolute. We want to turn things around a bit from where we are now. We need to start getting back on track. We know that. Little by little, the mood, the physical condition, and hopefully the injured players, there's still a long way to go, right? You guys paint it a certain way, but we need to stay very calm. This is a long road, and what looks one way today could change in not too much time.
Hi, Coach. This is Alberto Perino, live for Style 8 Radio on Decero. You say we paint it differently, but in the end, if you look at the results from the last few weeks, they could have been better.
The results are what they are. That's a plain and simple fact. The way you guys interpret it is another matter.
And just to...
Sorry. Did I interrupt you?
Sorry. No, of course not. I mean, because of the feeling from this constant line of questioning, press conferences every week mixed with bad results. I wanted to ask how you're doing and how you're handling the situation. A bit on edge, but always fine.
I don't think this is a new situation to deal with. For many coaches, you just have to live with it, right? When you're coaching any club or when you're coaching Real Madrid, you have to be ready to face it with composure, with responsibility, with self-criticism, of course, and we're in that moment, but knowing things can change and anything can happen, right? And today, despite the result, I saw positive things both collectively and individually, and others that didn't go so well. But we're still in it.
Hi, Xavi, Ruben Canizares from ABC. I don't know if in this hour or so since the game ended, you've had a chance to see him, or in the last 45 minutes. Were you able to see the president? And did he tell you the team showed up today?
No, we haven't crossed paths. I had other flash interviews and came straight here.
How's it going, Xavi? Miguel Angel Toribio, live for Radio Marca. I wanted to ask if, after Enrique's half hour on the field, you regret a bit how you managed him.
He played, and he had a good impact. The game called for a player to come in with energy. Yesterday we talked about his situation, and he's been close. So, was good news.
Hi, Coach. Sergio Parente here from DAZN. Rodrigo scored and broke a long streak of games without scoring. You gave him a hug. I want to ask you about that hug. I understand the player thanked you for your trust. I want to ask if that hug was important to you as well, that the player hugs you, that the whole team hugs you.
What I liked most was Rodrigo's performance. The goal was the result of many other things he did really well. I think so. One of the really great things today was seeing Rodrigo with that individual quality, with that ability to take players on. Plus, he scored a goal that for him was important. And we know the level he can reach. So yeah, I really liked that. I feel the support of the players. We're together in Valdebebas every day. We prepare the matches. And I like that personal connection with them, that closeness I have. And today, well, Rodrigo, with the goal he scored and the hug, well, it was positive.
Hi, Xavi. Over here, Olivier Lorenzo from El País. You said that today the team had focus, rhythm, and gave it their all. Are you confident you'll see this same team on Sunday in Vitoria? Thanks.
Our focus, our preparation for each game, it's about competing the best we can, and that's why we want to play every match. Not just with technique, physical ability, and mental strength. And that's crucial nowadays, having that intensity for a really strong opponent we're facing on Sunday. We know what Alaves at home is all about.
Hi, Xavi. Abraham Romero from El Mundo. I wanted to ask if, beyond the results and today's score, what really mattered was the team's reaction, the sensations, and the feeling from today that despite the 1-2, the team played with intensity. They've been kind of committed to the cause, so to speak. If you feel this could be a turning point in that sense, well, time will tell.
Right now, we're really in the result of the match is very. The emotions are really, really fresh, right? But today, the team really tried. There were phases where we played well. There were other phases where we can fix things. But the intention to compete, to play, to go out there and try to win the match, knowing it was a Champions League game at a high level, was positive.
How's it going? Xavi Martin from Aki Diario. I wanted to ask you about Mbappé. He was the big name in the build-up. The lineup was announced today at 2 p.m. He didn't even warm up. He wasn't even on the bench. I understand you knew he couldn't play. How's he doing? Can he make it to Vitoria? And how's his knee?
It's still too soon to say. If he were ready by Sunday, we'd have to take it day by day. But right now, it's not clear. Obviously, he wasn't ready to play. Otherwise, he would have it. Well, if he's not out on the field, you definitely miss him. We've had plenty of chances to score that second goal. But when it's not your day, when it's just not meant to be, nothing you do will change it.
They were the last two questions in English, the touch questions in English.
Oh, handing over the top questions to you, buddy.
They were about the players, about them playing for you. Have they given you the perfect answer to all this?
Well, I think I've had the answer.
Thank you very much. I think the performance was really intense, very professional.
We knew it was a Champions League game.
And in the end, they gave the best of themselves.
Michael, as far as I'm concerned, no complaints whatsoever.
I haven't explained anything at all. Well, another defeat to take, but we gave it our best shot. Last question. Hi, Xavi from management. You talked about Rodrigo's performance. You also mentioned the hug he gave you, but it wasn't just about his goal. It's true he played really well in defense and in his driving runs.
What changed to make me remember it so much?
Well, I think it was one of the positives of the night. Or the fact that in his game, with the ball, without the ball, he's kept a really good balance in transitions. And when we've managed to get him into those in-between positions, honestly, he's made the difference. Not just the goal. The goal was the result of what he did. So I'm delighted for him and really happy because I knew it was important to keep up this level. I think this way he's going to improve, right? And, well, I think we're on the right track and we have to keep going. Impressing him, and as for me, well, I'll tell him that's what's coming. Thanks.
Well, there was Xavi with his view of how the match went. I take away three things. With very little, they got ahead of us, and our emotional state, which was key. Our emotional state, the injuries, the players, and so on. That this bad streak will pass, and that the goal here, I think. The most important thing is to be consistent in performance, regardless of the opponent or competition. Man, let's hope that's true. All right, let's see if against Alaves, these guys do the same thing again.
And if not, then they're just a bunch of shameless guys of Dell.
Of an immeasurable size. So, look, I think between now and Sunday, we're going to give them the benefit of the doubt. Let's think it might be a turning point. The thing is, there have been so many turning points in Madrid over the years. You say, come on, now they're really going to put in the effort every game, man. I mean, we need to drill it into their damn heads. We need to finally get it through to these guys that if they don't put in that kind of effort, they're not going to win. I mean, a home game against, let's say, Levante. Maybe you pull the same stunt you did against Celta and you might win because they score on you in the first few minutes and so on. And you win those games where you end up whistled at, but you still go and win. And, well, with a bit of a scare because they attack you 3 or 4 times and score. They create danger and all. But usually if you go out like the other day against Celta, you end up losing those kinds of games because if you don't match their intensity, then they're going to have their chances and opportunities. The other day we saw it, not the Swede, the one who walked into the goal. But hey, if the team's like this, you can always lose 1 or 2 against City. You can. You can lose in the league against Atletico, against Barca, without embarrassing yourself, but you win the rest. Damn, that's exactly my point. You win the rest with the squad you've got, even if you have injuries. Even with injuries, they've managed to stand up to these guys. Thanks a lot, Alonso Hernandez, who says Madrid deserved to win with only 2 shots on goal against 7. City, Courtois, the star again him, not the team. The feeling that they could pull off a comeback. I don't hear anyone saying Madrid deserved to win. I mean, it's not an indisputable fact. No, Madrid deserved to win. For me, today, Madrid at least didn't deserve to lose, right? It's true in terms of shots and all that, but getting into the box, the other side had their chances too, no doubt. But you also have to look at the feel of the game at certain moments. I mean, if the team had a lot of runs into the box in the final stretch of the match, and many, many, many chances in that final stretch, it was because Madrid was going all out up front. I mean, and besides, we risked conceding a 3rd goal. And I think that right there, Xavi, who's made plenty of mistakes, but today, for example, went for the win. There was someone there who said, a slacker, I mean, really, how can you look at soccer and life and think it could be many things? You might think, no, he's not good enough to coach Madrid and all that. But calling him a slacker, there are people who do that. There are people, well, anyway, everyone can have their opinion, but there are people who say, damn, man, and this guy votes like me. So, Miguel, did you notice? Wait, hey, did you notice how they barely passed the ball to Gonzalo the whole game? Well, I haven't really paid much attention to that, but that would be downright stupid. I mean, in the end, he's your teammate. Damn, is that me? I mean, look, I don't think that's the case, right? Yeah, there are hierarchies in teams and all that. Well, anyway, players have closer bonds, and they figure that logically Gonzalo is a newcomer and all that. But having a special fixation like, no, I'm going to screw this guy's life, I'm not going to pass to him. No, I think I honestly think no, right? I don't think that would happen. And thanks a lot. You have to explain it this way, not just give it a like. Damn. Many thanks to Jose Alexander Gonzalez. Hey guys, we got up to 1,500. Now we're at 1,400. I really appreciate it, seriously. Damn, man. Each and every one of you. There are 2 Diegos, man, who wrote in. That's crazy. Should I turn off the comments now? But thanks a lot to all of you, okay? For those of you who write and all that, because in the end, well, you know, Miguel, isn't it normal for Xavi to sub Gonzalo and bring on a center forward? I already told you before, Javi, not just you, everyone, that this was a decision from Xavi I just didn't understand. And especially if in the end you're just going to end up sending crosses into the box. That's because of the sub who never complains. And it's something Ancelotti used to do, and it drove me crazy. It's the change of the guy who doesn't complain. Look, Guardiola made a change, and Holland didn't make a fuss, right? And yet here he chose Gonzalo and took Ceballos off because they know he can switch them out. With this change and with the other one, I wanted to do this and that. These guys had to stay on the field because, you know, yeah, we all know that. But you take off the one who doesn't complain. And this is something we used to complain about with Ancelotti. And like he used to say with a coach who knows his stuff, Xavi started doing it against Madrid, but then he stopped. And that's what really, really pisses me off. But let me tell you something too, okay? No, I remember right now exactly Zidane. He had an amazing personality and all that, and Zidane's take on the group, all that. But a lot of times Zidane too, this is something that's been happening at Madrid forever, you know. With coaches who are really like that, you'll say no. Mourinho had a lot of personality. There's only one Mourinho. All right. And with coaches who didn't dare to bench the big names, they still won Champions Leagues, you know? I mean, Xavi isn't doing anything different from what other coaches who've won the Champions League have done. And you'll say, come on, Xavi. He's got a long way to go before he's like them. They were already saying that about Ancelotti, but first, let's give him time, right? Even though things are the way they are now, let's give him time. I've seen plenty of seasons at Madrid with a terrible first quarter, so I'm not judging this first quarter. So Real Madrid is pathetic, huh? 7th in the Champions League, top 8, 2nd in La Liga. Villarreal could pass us. They have a game in hand. 2nd in the league, 4 points behind Barca. It's true we messed up, dropping 9 points in the last month. But everything's still up in the air. I mean, everything can still be won without any major disasters. Well, yeah, the Atleti one is already done well. Not done, but, you know, anyway, you didn't even lose to Atleti, so it doesn't hurt as much as losing to those ref pairs. No, but it's a situation where, well, I mean, it's not like we need to blow everything up. Now I'll keep wrapping it up, and with this, I'm done, guys. Well, the players have said it themselves. The attitude, the intensity, showing the same in every game. Asensio said it earlier. We need to change our attitude. Tchouaméni said it. We're with Xabi Alonso. Everyone, right? For now, he said it. Asensio said it too, and Rodrigo said it today after the game, even though Rodrigo doesn't play that much. It's true he always uses him, but he doesn't start in every game. For Boyui and me, it seems like a matter of the player's intensity, honestly, guys. And also Xavi's good handling of the locker room, the tough calls he used to make and now doesn't. And he's lost some influence in the locker room, which I hope will start to come back over time. And lastly, all right, well, I was looking at a comment from someone, so I'll keep going. Go on, then go on, go on. Or start your own channel and see if you can talk to more than 3 people in a row. I've seen situations. Look at the ref pairs, for example, the Luis Enrique case. Back in 2014, 2015, the locker room was a powder keg. Messi was totally against Luis Enrique. Huge problem. Luis Enrique gave in to Messi and several players who told him, you've got to handle this situation. They pulled off the trouble with everything Barca had. Let's see. Because they were paying the number 2 guy in charge of the referees in the national competitions, right? Well, and in UEFA, he had what he had with Simasarchik and UNICEF. But anyway, you get what I mean. There are situations you can turn around, right? And hopefully this is one of them. All right, guys, thanks so much to all of you, to the 1,267 who are here. We're not heading over to Vigo now because I did a big app with a live reaction to the match. Thanks a lot to everyone who was here. We had like 30-something people there, 40 at the peak. It's true that our games sometimes After games on YouTube, we're set to head over there. We've gotten up to 100 and something. I encourage you so that in the next game, I give you a heads up about, I'll mention it in some YouTube video so we can experience a game together. Love? I'm not sure if it's going to be against Alaves or against Sevilla. I'll let you know. Well, we're just here, getting a little desperate, you know? Me, David, all the shouts I've wanted and given myself. I put on a pretty interesting show that the 30 people who were there got to see. But hey, it's just another way to do live streams too. It's not always going to be for every game, just 2 a month. But anyway, we just keep writing, keep reacting to what we see. Well, you'll also get to see me in that side a little bit. A little. Crazy about reacting to the games. Miguel, today the Uruguayan really wanted to run. Well, today he wanted to run a lot. Yeah, and that's the thing they need to run in every game. All right, guys, thanks a lot, everyone. 55 minutes here. Look, Real Madrid TV is talking about that Garona Curta thing. Well, at least they mention it. And even though Courtois didn't bring it up, it really caught my attention. Really caught my attention. No, I don't want to be complacent, you know. Let's not forget the 2017 team. No, Andres. I don't want to be complacent. Quite the opposite. Quite the opposite, of course. But today, at least, they didn't make a fool of themselves. The team delivered. The question is whether they'll do it again against the weak league opponent of the week. All right, hugs to everyone. Real Madrid, that's all YYY. Thanks for being here, guys. Please give it a like if you haven't yet, and subscribe to the channel if you're not already. And yeah, thanks a lot for the support. Bye.